Hi Yuzi, welcome on in. How you doing? Today, we're continuing playing Cabernet. I think we killed a few people last time. Off the top of my head, we killed off Anastasia, Faina, killed off someone else. I think we killed off 3 people. Anastasia, Faina. Who else did we kill? It was Anastasia, Faina, and did we kill off Evgeny, or did I plan to do it this stream? I think I planned to kill off Evgeny this stream. I don't actually remember. Anyways. Yeah, we're gonna be killing off more people. We can check who we killed off last stream in a minute. I know I definitely killed off Anastasia and oh, Iskra as well. We killed off Iskra as well. That's who else we killed. Yeah. That's who else we killed. We killed Anastasia, Faina, and Iskra as well. So yeah, today in Cabernet, we're gonna be trying to kill off more people. I think we're gonna try and kill off at least Evgeny. We do also have what is it? Capulan? I keep forgetting. What's it? Capulanite? Cupalanite. I keep mixing up the vowels. We've got Cupalanite. So that's when we could probably kill off at least Roman, and we can probably kill off Roman and Maruzia, and maybe Damien. Yeah, we could probably kill off Roman and Maruzia, at least. I'm gonna try and do like some more of the side quests. So I'm gonna try and maybe do more of Elisa. We've got Elisa's side quest. Let's see, whose side quest are we actually trying to progress a little bit more in? Elisa's, the Rusalkas. Those will eventually lead to Elisa's and Oleg's death. And then we've got Trophim's quest. From what I looked at, we don't actually have to kill Trophim to get the achievement, but I'm probably gonna try and kill him anyways, just to be safe. And then who else have we got? We've got the doctors, but we don't actually need to progress all that much, I think, to kill off that patient. I don't remember what her name is, but I remember she was kind of a dick to us. I remember when we first meet her, she's kind of a dickhead towards us. So yeah, so I'm gonna try and kill off at least Evgeny. And like I said, we've got Cupalanite, so we can. I think in Cupalanite, I'm gonna try and kill off Maruzia, Demian, and Roman. So yeah, and there's also an achievement where we can put up we can curse multiple houses. So yeah, I think if I focus on maybe 2 houses, then I think we'll be fine. So yeah, this is what happens when I'm not sure how. I think yeah, this is what happens when the game doesn't have a dedicated wiki page for the achievements. So yeah, let me see. It does have the Reddit. There was a Reddit post that we looked at last time that said that we probably don't have to kill Trophim. So yeah, on Kupal and I'm probably just gonna kill off Roman and then Maruzia and Demian. I'm not sure if we curse Maruzia and Demian's house. I know this is a stupid question. It will probably kill off if we put the curse on Maruzia and Demian's house, it will probably kill them both. But we'll see. So yeah. How's your guys' weekends been? How's your guys' weekends been? I watched I probably should start with last night's episode of Casualty. So yeah, I think so. Okay, so I feel like this episode of, so obviously spoilers for Casualty, specifically for kind of learning curves generally, the learning curves like miniseries generally. So yeah, this episode actually kind of made me like Flynn more. He is like still like one of my lesser favorite characters. Like I still don't really like it that much, but like he is starting to grow on me a little. I'm still pissed at him for what he did at the training exercise, but he is starting to grow on me. He is starting to grow on me a little bit. So yeah, and Nicole, I think with Nicole, so last week she was pissed at basically last week this whole episode hinges on like what happened last week, where I think it's called like a lumbar puncture or something like that, or something along those lines, where you drain out spinal fluid basically. The Matty and Kim, the residents, did that, but they went to like the section higher than they were supposed to and caused a patient to be paralyzed. And so the CQC, who was like doing an inspection at the hospital at the time, basically was like, you're not allowed to take it on major traumas at night. So yeah, Nicole last week, she said something that like kind of pissed me off a little bit. She basically said, when Flynn is like kind of like the manager of like the emergency department at the hospital. He's like the like head doctor, and after he told like everyone in the staff room, basically being like, hey, we're no longer allowed to take major traumas at night, and he was trying to be like kind of like, hey, this is due to multiple issues, but Nicole was like, hey, Nicole was like, well, it was because of the I'm gonna call it a lumbar puncture. I don't know what it's called, but I think it's called a lumbar puncture, where you take out where you extract some spinal fluid. Where you take out some spinal fluid. Nicole was like, well, it was mostly because of that lumbar puncture, and she was like, well, me, Stevie, and Dylan went on shift that time, and I can't see it being Siobhan. She said something along those lines. That kind of annoyed me a little bit, because she was basically like pointing blame at the residents, which was like, yeah, that was kind of like the big insight, like one of the major reasons why you're no longer allowed to do major trauma at night. But also like there's also other reasons, like they don't have the funding to hire more staff at night. They don't really have that much. Yeah, they don't have funding to hire more staff at night. Plus the stunt that Flynn pulled at the training exercise a few weeks ago. It was just like a bunch of different issues that caused them to not take major traumas at night. So yeah. Nicole, and I was kind of pissed at her for saying that. Nicole saying that kind of annoyed me last week. But this week, she was like a lot more understandable, I guess, with like her being pissed off at the general situation. She was basically like, she went to the staff room to get something from. Nicole went into the staff room to get something from a locker, and Matty and Kim were also both in there. And Matty kind of like saw that she came in but didn't really like talk to her. And Kim was just like trying to like keep up, like have a friendly conversation with her. Like, she was just like, oh, how are you getting on with night shifts, and I don't remember exactly what Nicole said, but she basically said, listen, I don't really, after what happened, I don't really want to be kind of matey. I don't really want to be like totally mates at the moment because of what you two did. You do, and she was just like, you do realize the seriousness of the situation you put us in, right? And so she was basically just like that. She was just like that I felt like was a much more understandable response than what she said last week. That, I mean, to be fair, what she said last week was kind of understandable. It just kind of it just kind of annoyed me because it felt like she was basically saying that the lumbar puncture was like the only reason that they're not allowed to take major trauma at night, when like it's not the only reason. There's at least 3 other reasons why they're not allowed to take major trauma at night. You know, so that kind of annoyed me. How's it going? It's going all right. Who said what now? I'm talking about Casualty, and I'm talking about Nicole specifically, and how last week's episode, she said she was basically like putting the major blame. She was basically putting all the major blame, all the reason why they can't take major trauma at night, onto the residents, when there's like multiple other reasons. Why there's also like several other reasons why they can't take major trauma at night. But then this week, she was like she didn't annoy me like at all. Like, it felt like she was much more understandable in her anger, because she was just like, listen, I'm pissed at you for like what you two did with that patient. I'm pissed at you for this. Do you realise how serious this situation is, you know? So yeah. By the way, I started watching The Nanny. It's good. I keep hearing the theme song on TikTok. I might start watching it, but it's also so sad because you see the reality of our world, even in a sitcom. I keep hearing the theme song on TikTok. I'm tempted to start watching it. Is it on UK Netflix? I'm gonna have a look, because I know they added like a bunch of shows recently. Like, I literally just scrolled through and they've added like a bunch of like animated shows and stuff like that. Let me see. The Nanny. Oh no, it's not on Netflix. It's not on UK Netflix. Okay, so little spoiler. I'm all good with little spoilers because I will probably forget it. The main actress of the show. Yeah, okay. Let's see, is it on ITVX? No, it is not. Okay. I didn't see this before it happened. Okay. Wait. What are you making me wait for? What? Oh, I didn't know this before I saw this show, is what I meant. Yeah, okay. Come on, Easy. Come on. Tell me. Come on, Easy. Come on. Yeah, last night's Casualty episode, I actually really enjoyed last night's Casualty episode. And apparently, major fucking spoiler, which I think has been kind of already put on like their social media and stuff. There's gonna be fucking redundancies. There's gonna be redundancies. So it's gonna be Flynn, right? Flynn was like, they don't have like the funding anymore. They have to like kind of cut too much stuff because they have like a little bit less funding now. And Flynn was like, I'm kind of like mismanaging this, like I'm not managing this department well, which the thing is, outside of the training incident, I thought he was managing the department like decently well. Even though I don't really like the guy, outside of the training incident, let's forget the training incident for now. I thought he was managing the department like decently well. Like it all seemed to be like running as smoothly as a casualty ED can run. Like casualty is like a drama, so like obviously there's gonna be like a lot of issues, but like, as well, like he ran it quite well for an ED that is like a he ran it quite well for a fictional emergency department that exists within a drama TV show, right? So I thought he was running it quite well. So yeah, outside of the training incident, like he could have done better with the training incident. So yeah. But like the main actress is a hardcore Zionist. Holy shit! And back in '92, she says in one of the episodes, we're giving them the Gaza Strip and Israel's Yasser Arafat specifically, which is crazy because he was part of Palestine's socialism party, and Fran Drescher is a self-described socialist. What the fuck? What the? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was just gonna say something like very minor about the show, but like what? Even back then, you see how do you? Yeah. Holy fucking shit! What the fuck? Jesus fucking Christ, man! Oh my god. But yeah, Jesus. I have no idea how to move on from that. Just that. Holy fucking shit! Like, you're giving the land back to them. Yeah. What the? Jesus Christ! Jesus fucking Christ, man! I did not know how to move on from that. Jesus Christ! I mean, you can't really move on from shit like this, but you know. What the fuck, man? Yeah. But yeah. It's like a whole yeah. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Jesus. Wait a fucking minute, I'm checking this. I'm checking the mud chat. Sorry, someone just sent a message in the small streamer Discord that I'm in the mud chat that just kind of took me back a bit. When you see how subtle the manipulations are, it's a very popular 90s sitcom. Yeah. I think especially with sitcoms and like kind of like non-animated shows, like real life shows, I guess. You kind of see how like kind of like obsessed with Israel they are. Like, I think such as like I really didn't expect it to be this blatant. Yeah, with a lot of like sitcoms and stuff, it's like you'll see like kind of like, well, not really just sitcoms, but like kind of any like show, especially that started in like the 90s. Like kind of like a lot of them are like kind of a bit like obsessive Israel. Like I think Law and Order SVU, which isn't surprising because it's a game, not a game. It's a show about the police, but it's not really surprising. Don't they have a lot to? Don't they like? Isn't like half the dialogue when like Munch is talking about being Jewish specifically, like talking about Israel, which is like there's a whole different discussion about Israel and Judaism, which I'm not gonna get to because I'm not Jewish, right? But if you wanna watch stuff that talks a bit about Israel and Judaism, go watch Hannah Witten. She has like a few videos where she's like talking about like Israel and like being Jewish. So yeah, and you know the scene is like the breakfast table. She's nanny. There are 3 children around the table and her boss and the butler. Yeah, it's like a bit like kind of like a bit indoctrinating, yeah, kind of. You know, like it's that. So yeah, it's just like they just like, yeah, a lot of shows are, especially that started in like the 80s and the 90s and like, you know, I would say like, and even like some from probably like the 2000s, like are kind of a bit obsessed with like Israel and like being like anti-Palestine. So yeah, The Good Doctor just get sympathy during the heart of Israel's bombing Gaza, trying to get sympathy of the people by killing a character who was ex-Jewish and left Judaism, by bringing him close to Judaism again, and then killing him off by some white people in a hate crime in the span of 1 episode and then any shows. What the fuck? I'm sorry. Just to get sympathy during the heart of Israel's women on Gaza, tried to get sympathy of the people by killing a character who was ex-Jewish and left Judaism, by bringing him close to Judaism again, and then killing him off by some white people in a hate crime in the span of 1 episode. What the fuck? I had just not heard anything good about The Good Doctor. Ironically, I just heard nothing good about this show. God damn. Like, all I know about The Good Doctor is that like it's not good with its autism representation, specifically with what's his name? Sean is his name? But yeah, I've not heard good things. I have not heard good things about this show. I like medical shows, so I used to watch it. Yeah. I like medical shows as well. Like, I've watched like a bit of Chicago Med. I've watched a bit of Chicago Med. I watched Casualty. That's my favorite show. That's my favorite medical show. I watched the entirety of New Amsterdam. But yeah, The Good Doctor is like one medical show that I'm just staying away from. So yeah, Casualty, yes. Casualty, and then Updated, yes. Casualty is a very long show though. It's been going on since 86. It's got 40 seasons, so it's gonna take you a while to if you want to watch the whole show, then it's gonna take you a while to it's gonna take you a while to watch the whole all of it. So yeah. Casualty is like see about catching up. Yeah, I mean you could just like watch from like the more recent seasons. Back and do it. Yeah. You could probably just watch from the most recent seasons, or you could just watch it all the way through. So yeah. Getting right on back to Casualty, because I want to talk about a little bit more about last night's episode. Before I get into Cabernet. Again, spoilers for episode 8? Episode 8 of the Learning Curves, like mini. I call it a mini-series because it's like a series, it's a mini-series within season 40. I was talking about the layoffs. I was in the middle of talking about the layoffs. So I just talked about Flynn. Like I said, Flynn, do I like the guy? Not really. Do I like the character? Not really. But I never yeah, 1,386 episodes, yeah. 40 years worth of, yeah, 40 years worth of content. 40 years. Like, and it is like, I think it's like the longest running medical drama, which is insane. That's like currently ongoing, which is insane. So yeah, and it has also like a couple of spin-offs that you could go watch. I think one of them is Holby City, if you want to watch those. So yeah, I don't know if you want to I've not watched the spin-offs personally, but if you want to watch the spin-offs, then you can do. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Flynn. As I was saying, Flynn, I don't really like him as a character, but I thought he was like a decently good like manager of the ED. I don't know what his official role is. I think he's like the head doctor, like a manager of the ED. I thought he was like a decently good manager outside of the training incident that happened a few weeks ago. Basically, if any of you watching that don't know what the training incident is, basically, the two resident doctors, Kim and Matty, they were training with someone who like researches like extremely contagious and like extremely deadly diseases, and like they were trying to like, you know, train Matty and Kim to make sure they knew what to do in like whenever there's like a potential mass outbreak, right? And Matty at first wasn't really taking the training situation seriously. Like, even though despite the fact that in last night's episode he did say, hey, I went to medical school because my mom dropped out. He went to medical school for his mom, so you would think he would be taking this a little bit more seriously, but no, he's not. He did not take that training to exercise like seriously at start. Like, he did not put his PPE on properly, so yeah, he just wasn't taking it seriously at first. But then the like their practice patient was the woman that was researching the viruses, the like extremely contagious diseases. She like basically her like whole face started bleeding. Like she was bleeding out of her eyes and like her nose. And like she sneezed blood on Matty. They were freaking out because they thought, oh, she might have Ebola, right? They were thinking she had Ebola. Turns out she didn't have Ebola. Flynn and Dylan were like trying to help out with the test results. Dylan was like, and then to see if she actually did have Ebola. Flynn went away to try and get the test results, and Dylan was like trying to help calm down Matty and Kim, right? Flynn finds out, hey, it's not Ebola. It's just the side effects of antiviral medication that the researcher was taking as a precaution, right? It was just side effects. Like, she was not infected at all. It was just side effects. And instead of like immediately telling Dylan, Kim and Matty the results, he decided, no, let's wait to torture Matty, despite the fact that like he was also kind of like mentally torturing Dylan and Kim as well. Like, yeah, that's what I meant by the training incident. Training incident. I hate that guy. So yeah, he really annoyed me with that. So yeah, but last night's episode, yeah, back to the redundancies. But other than the training incident, Flynn, I thought, managed the ED well. The other incident was that, basically, for some reason he said, oh, we'll have to reduce, we'll have to have, one of the nursing staff being one of the redundancies. So it was either going to be Siobhan, Jodie, Cam, or Rita, right? Those are, our main nurses. It wasn't going to be, one of the background nurses. No, it was going to be one of those four. So yeah, and Flynn like, at this point like Siobhan's the head nurse, but Flynn had told Siobhan to go home because her attacker had been seen in the ED, right, in the department, right. He was in the waiting room, so this was obviously a security risk. So they just told Siobhan, "You go home," right. So Rita was kind of like helping take over like some of Siobhan's responsibilities for the shift, right. And Rita went into Flynn's office, and Flynn told her about the redundancies. Well, didn't necessarily tell her out willingly. Like Rita had like brought in like some paperwork, and she saw the redundancy paperwork like on his desk, and she asked about it, and he told her. So yeah, that's what happened. And Rita was just like, I thought, not gonna lie, when I first watched that scene, I thought this whole like, oh, who's gonna get fired thing was gonna take up the majority of the episode, when it really didn't. It took up like 10 minutes of the episode. It took like 10 minutes. And Rita just immediately offered like, hey, I will be this other, yeah, Rita just immediately offered like, hey, I'll be this other redundancy, which was like, hey, like, what the fuck? Like, the thing is, of all the nurses, I thought, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why, but I thought the redundancy was gonna be like Cam for some reason. I thought the redundancy was gonna be Cam for some reason. And I don't know why they chose specifically the nursing staff. I was like, oh, maybe they'll suspend the residents for, you know, paralyzing a patient. But then I was just thinking then, like, maybe they got more funding for being a teaching hospital. I think they get more funding for being a teaching hospital. So I don't know why they specifically chose out of the nursing staff, and why not any of the other like doctors, right? Because like if it was gonna be any of the other doctors, I would have, if it was like out of anyone in the department other than Flynn, because he already put his name down, I would have thought Dylan, because I thought, oh, maybe they're going to bring in a newer character. Makes sense to like remove the character that's been there the longest, which is Dylan. He's been in the show for the past 15 years-ish. He's been in the show around 15 years, right? So in my head, if they, like, Dylan would be the logical step to take out, right? Either Dylan or like maybe Nicole. I don't know who else out of the, because like the main characters of Casualty at the moment would be Dylan, Rash, Nicole, Flynn, Siobhan, Rita, Cam, Jodie. Did I say all the nurses? Yes, I know the nurses. Ian, Jan, Indy, Teddy, Jacob. Those are like, that's 50-minute episodes, by the way. These episodes are 50 minutes, by the way, easy. They're not 20 minutes, they're 50 minutes. By the way, they're almost an hour long. You have got a lot. You have got like almost 1,386 hours to watch. So yeah, let me see. Let me go 50 minutes into how much? What's that into seconds? 50 minutes into seconds. That's 3,000 seconds. 3,000 times 1,386. Okay, we've got that number, which is like 4 million. Into hours. Oh wait, that's the number, not seconds into hours. That's 1,155 hours. That is 1,155 hours of casualty of just the main series. By the way, of just the main series, not even taking into account the spin-offs like Hobie said. So, yeah. And then, I just talked about. But yeah, I really didn't think that Rita would be like the one to go. I thought it would be like, I would have thought, because like I think Rita is that like a lot of them are like still relatively new characters. So I genuinely would have thought like, hey, if they're gonna get rid of someone, if there's gonna be redundancies. Before he said nursing staff, I would have thought like, oh hey, it's gonna be like Dylan or maybe Rash, because those are the two main characters, or maybe Jan. Like either Jan, Dylan, or Rash. But even then I wouldn't have immediately thought Jan, because like she's the paramedic. She works at the paramedic side of the hospital, not the emergency department. Because I think Flynn is just like the manager of the ED, not like the manager of the hospital. So I would have thought like, oh, Rash or Dylan, because those are the two doctors that work in the ED that have been there the longest. Rash has been there since like 2018, and so he's been in it for 7-ish years, 7 or 8 years, and then Dylan's been in it for 15. So I would have genuinely thought that, oh, maybe they're getting space to bring in newer characters. They're gonna get rid of the two characters that have been in the longest, other than Jan, Jacob, and Ian, who I'm surprised Jan, Jacob, and Ian have been in it for so long. Like, I know I don't know how long Jan's been in it, but I know Ian and Jacob have been in it for about 10 to 15 years. Similar amount of time that Dylan's been in it. So, yeah. And I think the rest of the episode was just focused on stuff to do with patients, which I don't really like to get. I don't know why, but I don't really like to get into. I don't know why, but I don't really like to get into like the more patient stories. The only patient story that I really have like talked about is the one where Matty and Kim paralyzed a patient. Like, I mostly talk about like the doctors and the nurses and the paramedics. The one story I do want to finish talking about before the one like storyline that I did want to talk about before we move into Cabernet. We have been yapping for 40 minutes. I need to get into Cabernet in a minute. But the one I did want to talk about is Jan. Basically, for a little bit of context, the paramedics have been getting like a few hoax calls recently, and they've been getting a few hoax calls recently. Like, they got one like 3 weeks ago in episode like 5 or 6. I think it was episode 6. They got a hoax call from a bunch of teenagers, and I talked about how Jan and Ashley being Teddy's girlfriend, and how like they kind of told him off, and like Ashley was like, I'll give you a warning, because Ashley is a police officer, and like Ashley told him off, being like, hey, making prank calls to paramedics, making prank calls to emergency services is illegal under the Telecommunications Act, and you can go to jail, you can go to prison. And she was just like, I'd let you off for warning this time, but next time I'm arresting you. So yeah, they've been getting a flood of prank calls recently, and Jan got a call. Like, a lot of the paramedics have been doing, have been also taking the calls. They've been like focusing a lot recently on the paramedics taking like answering the calls, as well as them like in the ambulance going to pick up patients, right? Which I kind of like. They didn't really used to do that a lot like 10 years ago. Like when I started watching it. I first started watching Casualty 2017. I stopped watching 2019. And then I've recently picked it up within the past like few months. So then, like I started, I think I started watching it end of season 39. It was end of Supply and Demand, start of Learning Curves when I started watching it again. So yeah, like a 7-year gap between the last time I watched it and now. So yeah, I do like the new storylines of them, I do like the storyline of the I do like the storyline of the Hooks calls and like them like actually answering the calls. So yeah, and Jan picks up a call, and it's this patient that Kim and Stevie actually treated a few weeks ago, who was a victim of abuse, right? And this guy picked up called the ambulance with your and he didn't feel safe like calling emergency services regularly. So he did the whole "hey, I'm calling for a pizza" thing. If you know what I mean, he's doing the whole "I'm calling for a pizza," and I feel like at this point, this is a well-known thing. I feel like the calling emergency services for a pizza thing is a very well-known thing. So I don't know, and it felt like Jan, like kind of like too quick to dismiss that call, and like hung up, and like it kind of came around to bite her in the ass, because later on in the episode the patient like drives himself to the hospital and kind of like collapses into Faith's arm, and like Faith, Stevie and Kim, like mainly Faith and Stevie, they are like Faith, Stevie and Kim like go and treat him, and Stevie goes and like she sees like Jan at the reception desk and is like, "Hey Jan, just to let you know, I have a patient here. He didn't receive an ambulance." And Jan immediately is like, "Oh fuck," because she was the one who hung up on that call, and turns out the patient killed his boyfriend, his abuser, which is just like I felt bad for Jan because I understood. I kind of felt bad for Jan because I understood that she was getting frustrated that, like, you know, they've had so many hoax. They've had like quite a few hoax calls recently. I do kind of wish they kind of like showed a few more of the hoax calls though, because it did feel like Jan just didn't take him seriously out of like nowhere, kind of. Because like we've only been shown one hoax call, like we've not really like, and we spent like quite a bit of time in like that room. Like I would say like about half the time we've spent with the paramedics. We've spent in the like room where you take the calls, right? So I feel like they should have just added in some more like background, like people in the background saying, "Is this a hoax call?" You know, kind of like make it seem like it's a more prevalent issue. That kind of thing. So yeah, I just wish that the hoax calls felt a bit more prevalent than they actually do feel like, because like again we've only seen one. So yeah. Anyways, I'm getting to Cabernet.